The streaming is live.
Okay, so I think we are live. Let me just double check. Looking at my second screen here. Yes, we are now live. Cool. So, welcome everybody. My name is Priscilla Sarnau. I do the marketing and communications at Venture, and I'd like to welcome you to our first Facebook Live event. And so, what are we going to do today? We are going to, oh, are you guys hearing an echo? No? Do you hear the echo? No? Ah, Andreas, here we go. Now it's better, I think. I hope. Okay, so what are we doing today? We are going to introduce our finance and insurance vertical winners today. And it's going to be them who are going to introduce themselves. So we're going to have Stapleton, Urban Data Lab, and Z22 give us a 2-minute pitch, and then you get to answer, or they get to answer your questions. So we will start with Andreas from Stableton.
Hi, my name is Andreas Betz, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Stapleton, the leading next generation marketplace for alternative investments. So what are alternative investments? They are basically all investments other than stocks, bonds, or maybe gold. And they include hedge funds, venture capital or startup investing, private equity, private debt. Hello, can you hear me now? Okay. Somehow I was still muted. So my name is Andreas Betz, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Stapleton, the leading next generation marketplace for alternative investments. So what are alternative investments? They are basically all investments other than stocks and bonds or maybe gold. They include hedge funds, venture capital or startup investing, private equity, private debt, real assets such as buildings, infrastructure or farmland, all the way to cryptocurrencies, art, wine, or even sports betting. Alternatives tend to outperform traditional investing by a large margin. So let's take the Yale endowment portfolio, which allocates 77% to alternatives. Since 1996, 100,000 would have turned into 1.4 million, whereas stocks or bonds would have just resulted in about a third of it. So logically, the largest and most successful investors are all heavily allocating to alternative investments. But unfortunately, 95% of all investors are excluded from this amazing asset class due to frictions, lack of access, paperwork, and high minimums. So we need to change that. Stapleton revolutionizes and democratizing access to alternatives and thus empowers prosperity and a positive impact. We enable investors like you to access hundreds of unique alternative investment opportunities easily via your existing bank account, tailored to your specific needs, and all of that beautifully presented with institutional quality. We're unique because access with this ease and breadth across different strategies has not yet been possible, and we are first to market in a gigantic 21 trillion market. We target qualified individual investors and financial intermediaries. So please check it out at stapleton.com. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much for your pitch. I would like to ask you a couple of non-finance questions from a non-finance expert. How did you come up with this idea?
Well, in my career, I've been two ways actually. I've been working together with all the stakeholders, such as investors, but also providers of alternative investments, and I saw a big need because it's just a very inefficient market, and it's just a pity because it's a great market in general, but it's really hard to make business because it's so fragmented. For example, the largest provider has just a 3% market share, super intransparent. But also, if I look at people working the whole life and like 1 or 2% in extra returns per year can make a big difference for their life to, let's say, spend more time with their loved ones or fulfill a dream instead of working just all the way until they retire. And I think it's it's not so difficult if you could invest, but unfortunately you can't invest. So we want to change that.
So you're basically wanting to open up investments for the masses. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's, people just don't have time or they don't like to, take care of their finances in general. And especially even if they wanted to participate in alternatives, they can do this individually in 1 or 2 investments here and there, but definitely not in a portfolio context or diversified as it should be. And thus, ultimately, a lot of people get frustrated or disappointed when 1 or 2 of their investments turned out really badly. So we want to help that, make that more smoother, more more fun, more diversified, and just just nice to do. And the good effect is that you ultimately can can retire earlier or make some more money than if you just limit it to stocks and bonds.
Yeah, early retirement does sound very, very appealing. Is there a trend that you're seeing towards investing towards non-conventional categories?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think just the fintech revolution changed the way not only investments are sourced or investments are made, but also the access to alternatives. See, there are so many different things, really, as I mentioned, from algorithmic sports betting to any niche in, I don't know, in any country, in any subsegment of any category. But doing business is so fragmented. And there are so many opportunities everywhere, which are hard to invest in. And there are some opportunities where you can invest as an individual already directly in certain verticals, but definitely not in a bankable format, and especially not in a diversified or institutional managed way. So that's really new.
Okay. Let's see if anybody from the audience has any questions. Okay, nothing yet. Let's see if they come in a little bit later. In the meantime, then we can get started with Urban Data Lab. Let's hear from Patrick.
Hey, hi, you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Hello, great. Thank you, Priscilla. So I'm Patrick, the CEO of Urban Data Lab. And we support real estate managers and the real estate industry to scale to new markets. Now, if you're a real estate manager, you need to have local expertise and to define custom strategies in a competing market. And these custom strategies are always kind of subjective, hard to scale, and relate to individual persons. Now at Urban Data Lab, we provide a cloud platform that supports you to make this process a bit more transparent and objective. We support our clients in 3 ways. First, they get better and easier access to data, to our large data platform. Second, they get custom business intelligence support with cutting-edge machine learning supports. And at last, they have an application that they can use to support the expertise in their team and to share the expertise in their team. Now, our clients save money because they don't have the need to build up their own infrastructure, data science team, geoscience team, or to close individual data contracts. They're always up to date. They can get the full advantage of a customizable solution because our framework is a modular framework that integrates different processes of the daily routines of our clients. These routines are supporting the scouting of new real estate, the profiling of existing real estate, and the managing of full real estate portfolios. Our platform combines currently 250 dimensions of spatial characteristics and is based on research that we did at ETH Zurich. We combine this with a self-developed machine learning framework that allows us to predict spatial trends, but also to develop custom solutions with our clients. This makes us less dependent on national data streams and allows us to go to global scale. Our business model is a service offered as a license fee. Our team is pretty young. We have only been incorporating last month, but we have been working on different pilots with our clients already. We have been selling first licenses with clients for a platform that will be released in August. And we have just been accepted for the business incubator of the European Space Agency, Switzerland. That's me from my side.
Great. Thank you so much, Patrick. So, well, congratulations on being accepted to this incubator. That's great news.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So, I had a question. How you said that the technology was developed at ETH. How long did it take you to develop?
Oh, it was a long process at the end. It was, to be honest, it was a process that started already 10 years ago with my diploma thesis. And at ETH, we did a simulation of urban developments. It was an agent-based simulation. And we had to not only to model individual behaviors in space, but also to characterize space. And that was something that was not done in that sense before. So we characterize space in a way that that we look at what you see actually in space. So buildings, street networks, and the connection between this and to characterize this in different scales so that you can implement everything in statistic models. At the end, it was a 5-year project on the canton of Zurich.
Okay, so 5 years. So you would say that it's not that easy for maybe a competitor to come in and also add this AI layer to their offering in the industry.
No, I don't think that is the key. So it's the combination of three pillars that makes it important. On the one side, it's building up the whole database with the location knowledge is something that that many persons start to do maybe in-house, but they always have to keep it up to date to build their own teams. So that's something, it's hard to get individual strategies out of this. And the second part is the machine learning part. So you need to have a full data science team to have expertise in that field and to be customizable, to adapt it to individual solutions. And the last thing is that you don't have applications that are open and that support you in working with your own strategies in spatial dimensions.
Okay, so you would say you're pretty unique in this space.
Hopefully, I think so, yeah.
That's always a good thing. Good. I'd like to ask anyone who's tuning in if they have any questions for Patrick on what he's doing, Patrick himself, or about about Urban Data Lab. While we ask, because there's a lag from questions, a question did come in for Andreas. So while we wait for Patrick's questions to come in, I will ask Andreas this question. And Lucas asks, what is the minimum amount I have to invest?
So the minimum amount ranges a little bit, but typically it starts with 10,000 per individual investment. And actually, we do also have available solutions which are more covering the liquid alternative space. They start at 100 Swiss francs actually. It's also available for public distribution in Switzerland. It's stablenote.ch. And it can range from 10K for a super diversified portfolio, or even 10K for an individual investments. For example, one of the deals we've made was a participation in the capital increase of Revolut, for example. That was an interesting late stage or pre-IPO opportunity.
Okay, do you feel like that's a pretty, how would you say, a standard point of entry for an investor? For the masses, I know we talked about having something more accessible for everyone.
I think so, yes, because if you think about, let's say, especially if you're looking at some more diversified portfolios, so typically the minimum is 100K, even up to 1 or to 5 million. So it's totally impossible to build a diversified solution if you've got a 100K or 500K minimum. So I think that's a great entry point. And our, let's say, direct individuals, they've got already some 50 to 100K in average investment with us. So they have already been able to build a diversified portfolio, and our target investor clients, the financial intermediaries, which buy for their end clients, like a family office and wealth manager, etc. So they are at around 1.5 to 2 million average investment. But especially it's also something for individuals.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Andreas. And now I have a question for you, Patrick. So we have Leah who's asking, I'm reading the question. There is another Swiss startup, Mazzone, that does something similar. What's different about you?
Mazzone is concentrating on the transport models, and it's an agent-based transportation model that they offer. Actually, I did my PhD at the same institute. So you could say one is the person's moving in space, and we are more concentrating on what is characterizing the space around it. And we do this in a way that we want to go transnational, so to international level. And this is also what makes the big differentiation to competitors that are on the Swiss market. So we do not only integrate national data streams, but we process it in an own way to characterize the situation around it, around you, the structure of space, and how this impacts on behavior, spatial behavior in general. So also the moving of households, for example.
Oh, it's very interesting. So very unique indeed in your space. Thank you for those who are asking questions. It's great. And I would like to invite Philip to join us and introduce himself on behalf of Z22.
Yeah, sure. We hope you can hear us.
Yes.
Well, at this point, perfect. So good morning, everyone. This is Armin. I'm Philip, and we're the two founders and still 100% owners of Z22 Technologies. So Z22 is a quantitative asset management company that consists of graduates from ETH and HSG, combining analytical skills with business sense. Furthermore, we're an official HSG spin-off. Every investor is looking for a product that gives him the full upside in a positive market, and in the meantime protects him from severe losses during market crashes. And that's exactly where we step in at Z22 Technologies, as our main focus lies in rigorous risk management in order to reduce drawdowns in our products. But there is one big challenge here, right? Nobody knows where the markets will move. That's the reason why we create intelligent machine learning algorithms that find the right answer to every market scenario, and that faster, more efficiently, and more effectively than any individual or team could ever do. We want to highlight at this point that there is no discretionary decision or emotional opinion involved in any of our products, as the whole investment process is fully handled by our intelligent algorithms. So what does that mean in practice? We don't want to bore you with any further technical details and walk the talk by sharing with you our year-to-date results. With our flagship product, Z22 Smart Mirror, which is a core US single stock equity portfolio with a volatility overlay called Z22 Vola Boost, we were able to outperform the S&P 500 by more than 30% this year. Year to date, we are at plus 25% performance, whereas the market is still negative. We're currently focusing on institutional clients in Switzerland, but the beauty of our product is that everyone can buy it through his own bank. And more details about the products can be found on our website. And now we're looking forward to answering your questions.
Good, thank you very much. Took the 2-minute pitch to heart. So a question on my end is how can I invest in your product? I heard you name, I forgot the name already. It was pretty long, but something with Goliath. No?
It's a Z22 Smart Mirror. I mean, we have two
Smart mirror,
products.
yes.
Yeah, Smart Mirror. We have two products outstanding with UBS, and you can invest. So it's a public distribution, so everyone can invest, but you have to buy it through your bank. So you can call up, for example, if you're a client of Credit Suisse, you can call up your bank and tell them to buy our product. That's pretty simple, and
Okay.
it starts at, so I mean, 7 months ago the price was $100, so you have to buy 1 unit. Of course, you have also to take into account the fees the bank is going to charge you, so you might not want to invest 1 unit. But now the price is roughly at $130 per unit.
Okay, so you mentioned that you, go ahead. Armin, you were saying something?
Basically, like just buying a share in the company. Like if you buy a share in, I don't know, Roche, for example.
Okay, and so you were mentioning that you could go through UBS. So what was it like for you guys to go to an institution like UBS and tell them about your technology and how you're outperforming the S&P, and what was that like, and what was their reaction to you?
Well, I mean, back in the day, we didn't have that outperformance, so we basically had the chicken and egg problem, right? So we invited them, or they came to us, and we told them what we do, and I think they thought it made sense. They really looked at what we do, our algorithms, quite closely, and they were thinking, let's give it a shot. And that was back in October last year. So no one was thinking about the coronavirus back then, but they said, yeah, let's try. And I think we delivered, not only in terms of performance, but also the assets that we brought, because like a real fund was out of reach back then. So we had to find a partner that would kind of support us, and we are really happy that UBS took the plunge.
Maybe I can add here something. I mean, at the beginning, at some point, you have to look for a wrapper for your product, so make it investable. If you don't want to go down the road with discretionary asset management, so you have to find the perfect wrapper, and that was quite hard. So we did a lot of research there, and we choose UBS because it's a global brand. It's a very good brand, so it's well known. All our clients are basically working with UBS, and they have a very good platform, so we can realize the strategy or implement the strategy on the platform. So that was basically why we chose UBS, and of course they gave us a fantastic pricing, which is also important, so that keep the costs low, not only in the product, but also in the company. But that really helped us to start at some point with UBS.
Great. So I will open it up to the audience if anybody has any questions. Like I said, there's a lag, so let's see if anyone has any questions for you.
Sure.
I mean, if something should come up in later, you can always drop us a line. There is a contact form on the website, and yeah, basically our mail addresses are our names at z22.ch.
So I think well, I do have a question, but it slipped my mind while you were thinking of your email address. There's a question that just came in. What is your USP?
So do you want to answer? No, I mean, the USP, right, in asset management, it's a very transparent market, because what we have, our product, you can view the price every day, basically every minute, every second. In the end, when people ask us what are our competitors, our competitor really is the market. So you basically can load all the products that there are out there, and then you rank them by performance. And being one of the best in there is what we try to achieve. So our USP definitely is being up there. And I think the reason we are very high ranking in this list is because we don't do any emotional judgments when we invest, right? We really rely on the algorithms. And we know that a lot of people claim to be quantitative. They say they're using quantitative methods, but in the end, they always overrule when they feel like it. So for example, it's a rainy day today, I'm not trusting the algorithm. Today it's sunny, I'm trusting. And I think that kills a lot of performance, or that kills most quantitative strategies. And the second one definitely is our approach to developing the strategies itself. I think a lot of people just do some back test and then they are satisfied with what they get. And we are more like, we are constantly trying to find the holes in what we did. And I like to quote a story of Charles Darwin there. It's like he invented his theory of evolution in a very short amount of time, but spent the rest of his life basically trying to find counter examples to invalidate his theory. And that's what we do. So we have a theory, we make the algorithm, but then spend the most amount of time trying to find counter examples or trying to find where it might go wrong. And I think this is a trait that we don't see that much in the industry. And I think that could be named as one of our USPs.
And I mean, it's a combination of different factors. Like you need a great core quant team that has the technical skills to implement algorithms that also understand the dynamics of the markets. But also on the other hand, you need the distribution side, right? And we have both. So we have the technical know-how and the distribution know-how, because we have spent a couple of years working in the industry. And we have done a lot of marketing so far. So we did more than 3,000 calls. We did over 400 meetings with potential investors. And we have quite a broad investor base. So basically you need both, because just having a good idea or a great algorithm that produces returns, but nobody knows about your product, that's really the key, that you have both. And we combine both in our team. And that's maybe the USP that we have in our company.
That's a great point, because that now just leads me to the question that I had forgotten before, which was, you mentioned that you can just call up your bank and ask for your fund or your product. Is that part of your strategy? Are you basically raising awareness of what you do and asking people to also request on their end to work with your product?
I mean, that would be the best case, right? That people just find your product and invest, but it's definitely not the reality. So the reality is really, we have to go out, we have to spread, because there are many products out there, a lot of people calling up institutional clients, trying to sell them something. So we really have to do a lot of marketing to get clients. But now with the great performance we have, and people are seeing the performance, and also we try to raise a little bit more awareness in our social media and so on. We have also a quarterly newsletter with over 2,000 subscribers that people are reading about what we do, about our research. So now we see a lot of inflow we can't really match to a client. So, and that's also the beauty of our product, because it's very scalable at the end. Of course, I mean, the biggest clients, they came from our efforts, and we still have to do a lot of efforts, and we still want to do that efforts. But at the end, it's everyone can really buy the product, and that's really the beauty of our strategy. So you can really buy it through your bank. But at the end, I mean, 99% of the volumes now invested in our product came through people that we directly contacted.
I think what I have to add here is why we are looking to gain some more media coverage or visibility is I think it's always good if people have heard your name somewhere else. And we found that few phone calls that we did with new prospective clients, and they said, yeah, I've heard your name somewhere, I read an article or whatever, and that helps a lot. You know, they may not have even looked at it in detail, but they just remember, I have seen it somewhere else. And just this little bit helps so much. So that's why we trying to get out there a bit more.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's the power of the media and the power of marketing. Thank you guys very, very, very much. I would like to end with one final question to all of our winners today, and that is, if you win the grand prize of Venture, because today you're all winners, but we still have to decide who the grand prize winner is. What would that mean for you, and what would you do with 150,000 francs? So I would like to start with Andreas from Stapleton, if you know what that would mean for you.
Well, yeah, well, that's a good question. I mean, first of all, it would be amazing, and we would be extremely thankful to win, especially as I'm super proud of my team and their efforts and contribution. Winning would also be, I would say, a big testimony to them. And the vision we're having is doing something good for our customers, employees, investors, and the world. And thus, this would also be a testimony to our vision. And this excites me every day. Therefore, the recognition and the prize money and even the consulting package will help to ensure that we're not just realizing the future towards our vision and mission, but also shaping the future. And so this 150K especially would also definitely help in active shipping features and just growing.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much, Andreas. I would like to ask Patrick the same question.
Well, we have been bootstrapping recently, and there's one thing that I learned is think about it when you have it. So I definitely would like to thank the team, and we would do a small team event eventually, also grouping our team who is distributed in different countries right now, to thank them for the effort that they did, that we arrived here, and the rest would probably go back into development as. But that's, as I said, think about it when you're sure to have it, especially in times we have right now.
Yes, but I'm sure that you are a dreamer, because look at where you have gotten. So you thought about it before you had it. So there's still a there's still a little bit of that in you. But
it's also a bit of madness, maybe.
Well, that's where innovation comes from, no? You have to think outside of the norm. Well, thank you very much, Patrick. And Philip, I mean, what would you do with the grand prize?
I mean, I would definitely like to follow up on what Patrick said. A certain amount will definitely go into some kind of team event, because in the end, that what matters in the end, to keep the innovation up, right? You have a product and algorithm right now, but to keep that thing innovative and going, you need a great team. So that's one point. And the other one is, I mean, we are still a self-financed startup, so we don't have investors, which makes us, I think, kind of unique at that stage. So we always try to earn the money that we needed as we go ourselves and keep the flexibility up. And for us, it's a lot of regulation work is ahead. So we need to be regulated by FINMA in order to, first of all, stay an asset manager, because laws have changed. And that's quite expensive, and also launching a fund that we can distribute in Europe. And I think the money would come in there quite handy. So we could launch that or bootstrap that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, no, it would definitely come quite handy for many things. So I thank you very, very much for being here, all of you today, and for answering all of our questions, for introducing yourselves, and for everyone who's tuning in. You can see who wins the grand prize and who wins first, second, and third place during our award ceremony on June 22nd. It will also be here streamed live on Facebook. And we will have, as our keynote speaker, Federal Councillor Uli Maurer, who will be talking about the state of entrepreneurship and innovation. So we're very excited to have him as well. So please, please, please feel free to tune in. And if you guys have any other questions for our startups today, please feel free to contact us at office@venture.ch. We'll be happy to forward any questions / requests or interests to our startups. And tune in tomorrow. We'll be doing this with another vertical, and that will be health and nutrition. So we'll be meeting our health and nutrition startups tomorrow at 9:30 on Facebook Live. Thank you guys very, very much. And I wish you a lovely day.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Priscilla. Bye.
Bye.